Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Rob with 3 days left before I head out to California to hike the John Muir Trail. I wanted to provide just one final update to my gear list. This has been months in the making and I could not be any more excited to share this opportunity with you. First up, I've made the decision from my previous video on my gear list for the JMT on Insoles, and ultimately I've come down to the conclusion that I'm going to be taking the Superfeet inside my Topo Traverse shoes on this hike. I spent 30 days, a month each, in different conditions, primarily running and weightlifting, wearing both of these insoles within my shoes, and I've come down to the conclusion that for long distance and for the activities that I plan on seeing on the trail, the Superfeet were the more comfortable and the better choice this time. So I'm going to give the final review and see if that decision was the right decision after I finish the hike. Next, we're going to talk about the greatest aspect of this, and that's the Tenkara fishing. So I made a video where I took my kids up to Pennsylvania to trout fish. We took 3 Tenkara Rod Company rods. We took the White Cloud, the Sierra, and the Teton Zoom. And then I had the Seiyu Therapy 33. We had 4 fishing rods and we fished all of them. I am impressed with every single one of them. So what I'm planning on doing is taking the Seiyu Therapy 33, and what better way to fish the Sierras than with a Sierra. So for just the naming convention alone, I'm going to run with the Sierra and the Therapy 33. One thing I did not consider until I went to Pennsylvania to fish with my kids was landing the fish. Normally with bass or trout, or with previous experiences just with the reel style rods, I was able to land the fish pretty elegantly, whether I'm just picking up the fish with my hand or whether it was just putting it on dry land. Trying to be a little bit more eco-friendly, as well as learning that the fish like to move and jump a whole lot, at least the ones that we were catching up in Pennsylvania. I decided that I needed a lightweight net, and this collapsible South Bend, despite that it's not the most fish friendly netting, as long as I make this wet, I think that I can manage the fish properly without injuring them any further than what the hooks do. But that's 4.95 ounces that I've added to the list for the trip. The food situation, I went through my macros and I calculated everything in Excel. And I, as a human being, am going to be in a significant caloric deficit. Regardless of how much food I've packed and can fit into that bear can, the one thing that I was falling short on is just straight up calories. So what I decided was I'm going to send a 8-ounce bottle of olive oil in each of my resupplies, and I'm going to take one with me. So I'll have 3 separate 8-ounce bottles of olive oil, pretty much 1 8-ounce bottle per 7 days. And what that's going to do is give me about 126 calories extra per tablespoon. And I can mix that in with my freeze-dried food, and I can do that once per meal or so, and that will significantly increase my caloric intake without adding a gross amount of additional weight or take up additional space. So that was one big portion to adding some calories. What I did then was I also did some nut butter research, and I found that Justin's almond butter, the little packets, they weigh like 1.15 ounces each and contain 220 calories. Has a lot of good fats, has some protein. So I decided to take one of those packets per day, and that increased my caloric intake 220 calories per packet. Super small with the flat packets, and they easily fit in the bear can without taking up any additional room that I didn't already have spare. So The big controversy though is that I want to be a lightweight backpacker, not an ultralight, but a lightweight backpacker. And I'm taking two luxury items that I'm probably at the end of this I'm going to say in my next post hike gear video that I just didn't need. But my backpack fully packed with my luxury items, I weighed it last night and again this morning, and I'm at 36.8 pounds, which is heavy. It's not significantly heavy to the point where I'm not going to be able to do it, but it's heavier than I'd like it to be. I wanted to be around 35 pounds or lighter, and it comes down to these two luxury items, right? I got the Helinox 1 pound, the Chair Zero. In my head, I'm visualizing that sitting next to a fire or sitting next to a creek, Tenkara fishing with my feet propped up on my bear can at the end of the day, right before getting into bed, sounds amazing. And yes, I've read tons of research on everybody just sitting on their mattress pads, rocks, the ground. This is a luxury item. It's a 1 pound luxury item. I'll get back to you on whether or not it was worth it. The next piece is absolutely pure luxury, and that is the book that got me into the John Muir Trail in the beginning. Honestly, never heard of the John Muir Trail until I read this book, thinking that it was about the Appalachian Trail at first. Reading it, I got hooked. It was a memorizing book that pulled me in, kind of like Gary Paulson books like when I was a child. But The Trail is a awesome book that just explains in detail. It has a lot of the historical data that derives the trail and the meaning and the conquest from the early people creating it, and that this book is going to ultimately go with me. It's a signed edition. I could not be any more excited to take this with me. Now this book is 24 ounces, and I'm going to take it in a 1 ounce Sea to Summit Ultra Sill dry bag, which adds to it. So just for that luxury item alone, I'm upping it to 25 ounces overall just to take this book with me. But sitting in this chair at the end of the day as the sun sets, reading this book sounds like an amazing experience. And despite the wait, if I can enjoy the experience, the wait's worth it. But I'll let you know in the final edition if it truly was worth the wait. As the days count down, I'm getting more and more excited. I truly am relishing in the packing, double checking my gear, making sure that all my permits, maps, and everything are up to date and included in my backpack. Ultimately, the journey ahead is absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to hike this 211-mile trail. But with that, I'd really appreciate if you liked, subscribe, don't miss out on any of the trail content. But in the comments below, more specifically, tell me what your tips, your tricks are. What worked for you? What didn't work for you? What was your pack's weight when you hiked the John Muir Trail, or what do you anticipate your backpack weighing when you hiked the John Muir Trail? Let me know in the comments below. I appreciate it. Until next time, stay wild.